Tonight on Denver7 News at 6, snow is moving in and the heat is moving out. Mike has your forecast.
If you don't have the facts, how can you make an educated statement?
The woman behind thousands of botched vaccines tries to clear her name.
Homeowners say Westminster was depriving them of their right to recall. A judge agreed.
We should have had this recall election in January, and probably the soonest we can have it now is June.
And Contact Denver7 calls foul on a moving violation.
Why can't you do the right thing and give her stuff back?
Yeah, it looks and feels like a Monday all right outside of Thornton on I-25. It is freezing, the sun is on hiatus, and it is snowing out there.
Yes, so winter weather advisory is in effect until 3 a.m. The National Weather Service says drivers should have been off the road an hour ago.
So better to stay inside and listen to Mike Nelson's forecast. Mike, this system is packing a punch.
It's going to be a very cold system for an April snow. Let me show you. It looks like right now downtown. Still some grass showing. The snow hasn't accumulated too much, but it's a different story a little farther north. This is our camera up in Westminster, and you can see very much snow covered there. And look at the temperatures with this storm. It's already 15 degrees in Laramie, 21 at Cheyenne. We're down to 26 out at DIA. While on the other side of the front, it's in the 60s at Grand Junction and down toward Durango. But we're not going to be on the other side of the front. We're on the cold side of the front. And with that, the snows are working their way down the I-25 corridor. Winter weather advisories, Denver to the east. Winter storm warnings, Boulder and extending up to Fort Collins to the west until 3 a.m. Some mountain areas could see close to a foot of snow out of this storm system. You can see the heaviest snows are up toward the Fort Collins area, but gradually working their way down closer to Denver. And with that, we're going to see our snow increase in the next couple of hours. The other part of the equation is they couldn't put the de-icers on the roads because of the rain we had earlier. For more on the slick conditions up north, let's go to Addie.
Well, Mike Nestlin, we just saw a plow drive right by us. We're out here in Fort Collins off I-25 southbound and Frontage Road, where the snow is coming down just above average rate. But I want to take you down here. This isn't super light and fluffy. This is a little bit heavier and wet over here. You can see that is why it is not sticking on the main highway. That's I-25 southbound right there. We're told by CDOT spokesperson that they weren't able to put de-icer down because of that rain earlier today, but they do tell us there's about 110 snowplow drivers out here in northeastern Colorado, and they're on a snow shift. That means they're going to be out as long as they are necessary. Out in the Denver metro area, about 90 snowplow drivers. Between the Denver metro area and Eisenhower Tunnel, 29 snowplow drivers. They are telling people before you head out, go to cotrip.org to make sure that your route is clear before hitting those roads. And I'll bring you some more details as to what kind of snow and what kind of damage we could expect if you don't go out there and kind of knock some of those branches and the snow on those trees. But make sure there's no power lines in that area. Reporting live in Fort Collins, Addie Guajardo, Denver7.
Addie, thank you for that. The district attorney's office has launched an independent investigation into the arrest of Karen Garner by Loveland police.
73-year-old Garner was brought to the ground, handcuffed and belittled last year after allegedly shoplifting detergent from Walmart. Her attorneys say she has dementia. The arresting officer was placed on leave after the video's release. 2 others were moved to desk duty.
The people running a Colorado Springs clinic promised they would set the record straight today on a series of botched vaccinations.
I would think that everybody needs to do their research and to maybe just take a moment to breathe until you actually get all of the accurate information that the public deserves to have. And we are not at that point yet.
Here's some accurate information. The State Health Department told nearly 4,000 of Dr. Momas' patients to start from scratch because the records they say were a mess and there were no coolers in sight. Dr. Momas' office says it has freezers, but has provided no evidence.
E3 Fitness on South Broadway was the only Denver business to receive a citation for COVID violations last week. The city says 3 people were working out there without masks. 770 cases of the virus were confirmed in Colorado today. The state will surpass 500,000 total cases by next week. 14 deaths were reported today. 568 people are in the hospital, the most since February 4th.
A man pulled over on I-25 this morning for speeding was driving a Crown Vic with a laptop, mounted shotgun, body camera, badge, magazines, and handcuffs. Investigators say he claimed to be a volunteer with the Aurora Police Department. Now, APD says he was technically telling the truth, but that he never actually worked for them. Troopers eventually decided they did not have grounds to charge him with impersonating a police officer and then released him from custody. What began as a stick-up outside of Big Lots turned into a shooting near Quebec and Evans. Arapahoe County deputies say a woman was robbed by 3 men. She chased after them. They started shooting, and some poor guy who was a bystander got hit in the foot. Thankfully, he's okay. The robbers got away.
Governor Polis signed 2 gun reform bills into law today. One requires owners and sellers lock up their firearms. The other fines people for not telling police when a gun is lost or stolen. That one was inspired by the death of Isabella Thalas, a young woman shot and killed last year while walking her dog. Investigators say the gun used was taken from the home of a Denver police officer without his knowledge.
I lost my daughter. I lost a piece of myself. The glue to this family. After I reviewed the bill, it made sense to me. Common sense. Unfortunately, as we all know, common sense is not so common. So, I fight. Not just for Isabella, but I fight for the other people in Colorado, because it's not just about her.
Now, the bill gives people 5 days to report a lost or stolen gun. It also requires law enforcement to enter that information into a national database.
Homeowners in Westminster will stop at nothing to recall members of City Council. They've been telling anyone who will listen that their water bills are a ripoff and that the city wants to silence them. Most recently, they told it to a judge. Here is Gary Brode.
In the late hours Friday night, while many of us were going to bed, an Adams County judge ruled on a case that could have a huge financial impact for everyone living in Westminster.
In so many ways, it restored my faith in our legal system.
Bruce Baker was once a council member for the city of Westminster. Now he's part of a group trying to recall 4 current members for their role in a drastic increase in water bills over the last year.
We've been delayed by more than 5 months now. More than 5 months. We should have had this recall election in January. And probably the soonest we can have it now is June.
The delay started when 27,000 signatures were turned into the city clerk's office calling for the recall. However, city clerk Michelle Parker determined more than a third of those signatures didn't qualify due to a technicality.
I found out it was over an instruction page, a cover page just like this one right here, that asks for your name and your phone number at the bottom. I would say that out of 27,000, approximately 10,000 were thrown out.
Sandy Pospisil began collecting those signatures shortly after she received her August water bill.
In 2019, it went to $758.64. In 2020, it did go up to $1,112.
The decision from the judge says an issue with the petitions were not intentional and that the clerk should not have rejected the signatures on that basis. In other words, the cover page was not enough reason to shut down the recall efforts. We reached out to the city clerk and the council members facing possible recall. They referred us to the statement by the city of Westminster, which says in part, the court finds there is no evidence from the hearing indicating Ms. Parker neglected her duty for objectivity. So as it stands now, the city clerk has until April 28th to review the signatures that were thrown out to either accept them as valid or show cause for rejecting them. In Westminster, Gary Brode, Denver7.
Colorado Congressman Ken Buck will seek a 5th term in office. Buck won the 2020 election with 60% of the vote. His district will be redrawn later this year.
The La Alma Lincoln Park neighborhood could be Denver's next historic cultural district. The city says it received an application in March. If approved, the homes and murals that give that neighborhood its character would be protected from gentrification. Colorado lawmakers want to bring festivals and conventions back to our state sooner rather than later.
And if that means sweetening the deal for event organizers, so be it. Here is Liz Gilardi.
being in the business of gatherings in a time when you cannot gather was especially difficult.
Carly Wild planned 45 weddings last year. Only 15 happened, and her corporate events were canceled.
So it's pretty much each vendor is a small business, everyone we work with.
Her business, Melt Glass Productions, rescheduled those weddings, but the event industry has been hit hard by COVID-19. A new bill aims to provide a rebate to event organizers who choose Colorado, helping this industry rebound.
So we want to make sure that we're recognizing that and giving them a little extra incentive and a little extra help as they try to recover from the pandemic.
The bill would provide a 10% rebate for costs like food and beverage, venue rental, and local entertainment. There would also be a 25% rebate for any costs related to COVID-19 safety. But there's a catch. The event must book 25 overnight stays in a hotel to qualify.
But when people come to our communities, they stay in a hotel, they go to restaurants, they go shopping, and so the economic effect will multiply upon itself when people choose Colorado for a large event.
Kristen Pryor is the general manager of the Weston Riverfront Resort and Spa in the Vail Valley. She can't wait to host those events.
Because that was the hardest part. It's that not having that energy in the building and the ballroom and a beautiful event space and a beautiful, all throughout Colorado. I mean, there's so many wonderful meeting and event venues, and to have those sitting empty has been sad. It's been difficult.
A bill that could help an entire industry rebound and give people an incentive to choose Colorado. Liz Gilardi, Denver7.
Coming up, when the movers failed to make good.
So they wired the money, and then we never heard again.
A Longmont woman turned to Denver7 for deliverance.
I'm not threatening, I'm exposing.
The warnings and advisories remain in effect, and after the snow's done falling, the temperatures really drop.